Welcome, everybody, to the Monthly Movie Dispatch, the show where four high school friends get together and we talk about what movies we saw the last month, what we recommend, and what you should be looking forward to and what you should be watching. I'm Nick Moffat. I'm in Seattle, Washington, and we're with four of my oldest, dearest friends. We got Shaun Bowlby in Seattle, Washington as well.
Hello.
Derek Deal in Everett.
Hi, Nick.
And Brandon Bowlby in New York City.
How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. So we have kind of a special episode here today, guys. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be kind of crazy, kind of wacko, kind of what have you.
Nick, season 3 begins.
Yeah, this is kind of season 3. Yeah, this is the official start of season 3, I guess. I didn't really think about that because this is kind of like an in-between episode a little bit because we're not covering any months. We're going to do a top 10 of the decade. So this is February 2020. So the Academy Awards have passed. We did our last episode was our top 10 of 2019, and this episode is going to be our top 10 of the decade. So next month we'll kind of get back into the routine of doing February. We'll include movies from February and March. Just kind of was a slow time of the year, and we love doing these lists. What movie person doesn't love doing lists? So, yes, we're going to break down.
Love a good list.
Yeah, we all love lists. So yeah, we're going to do our top 10 of the decade. First things first, though, we had a little off-air contest where we all picked the best, not the best picture winner, but what we thought were going to win the Academy Award. Each nomination, we made picks, and the winner was going to have to pick a movie for everyone else to watch, and we were going to talk about on the podcast. So I actually won that contest. It was the first contest that I won that we've had. We've done this in the past. I think Brandon won last year, and we do it with Summer Movie Wager as well. But
I forget, did anyone pick Parasite to win?
No.
No? Yeah.
No.
I beat you with more picks last year than you did this year, Nick.
Nice. I don't know what I was supposed to say to that, but congratulations.
Thank you.
I actually didn't even submit one last year, if I remember correctly. I didn't get in time. It was Shaun's bachelor party, and I just didn't. I raced home, and then I was too tired to fill it out. And then all of a sudden the show was on, and I was like,
I filled mine out hungover on the drive home.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I think we should just dig into it. So anyway, my pick for the movie that I forced you guys to watch, I kind of deliberated a little bit. I was thinking I was going to do something pretty weird, but then I kind of scaled it back a little bit, and I was thinking, should I do something that's directly my taste, or should I pick a classic that they haven't seen? And honestly, I was going to pick Sunset Boulevard, but then I looked, and Shaun had seen it. And
I've seen it too.
You've seen it too, yeah. Okay, so I decided against Sunset Boulevard because I wanted to pick something you guys hadn't seen. So, so I went with Do the Right Thing. You guys can't see it right now, but I'm holding up the Criterion Blu-ray. That's super beautiful. But it's Spike Lee's first movie. Not first movie. It's his third movie. Came out in 1989. Man, I just think this movie is incredible, and you guys haven't seen it, and it's Black History Month, and it seemed pretty worthwhile to have that be our pick. I feel like the only problem with picking it, I mean, maybe we can dig into it. I don't know what your guys' thoughts and feelings were about the movie, but I feel like the only problem picking it is that it's very much a summertime movie. Holy moly, half of the plot of the movie is just about how hot it is and how people go crazy when it's hot out. So
so much sweat.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't remember how we really dig into this, but yeah.
I was really glad you picked this, Nick, because I remember it was last year I was going through a bunch of kind of quintessential New York films. I watched Manhattan and Gangs of New York and Ken Burns' New York documentary. I was looking at a lot of lists, and this one is always up top for the best New York City film ever made. And I didn't get around to it then. And man, I'm so glad that I finally saw it.
I just watched West Side Story, which is a good good New York movie too.
And I hate West Side Story.
Really?
Yeah, I hate that movie. It doesn't make
I kind
any
of
sense.
started out not liking it, but it definitely grew on me.
It doesn't make any sense.
The cross street the cross street that this film takes place on is not that far from me down in Bed-Stuy. It's like 20 blocks south.
Oh, that's a
of where
place?
I live right now.
That's what that is?
I mean, it's not a real
Where it
pizza
was
shop,
shot?
but like it's definitely a specific street. Like
Oh.
there's street signs in there.
Yeah, it's a real location. It's a real area.
Bed-Stuy is a big neighborhood just south of Brooklyn or of Bushwick.
I don't know.
Or that's what
all
I
the
meant. Yeah, I
history
didn't know
of
what
it.
Bed-Stuy was.
I was kind of reading through the Criterion Collection booklet today, and Spike Lee was very intentional about the place that he picked for this movie. I'm sure it's changed a lot. I mean, it's been 30 years since this movie came out, so I'm sure the area has changed quite a bit. But that location was also like a huge part of the movie, like just that street. For those who haven't seen the movie, I guess I should summarize it real quick. It's basically it's a movie about this area in Brooklyn where Spike Lee is the main character, and he works at a pizza joint run by this Italian family, and but it's very much a black neighborhood. So all these black people are always hanging out at his pizza shop, and at some point it's super hot. Everyone's like losing their minds. This one guy. I'm blanking on his name, but his name's like Big Mouth, right? Like it's pretty spot on. But
Yeah.
remember.
You're right.
and he complains about how there's no black people on the Italian Hall of Fame that he's got on the wall. Like he's got all these pictures of like John Travolta and Robert De Niro and stuff, and he's like, we got all these black people hanging out in the store. How come you don't have any people on the wall? And it seems like a pretty small conflict, and it initially is, but then it turns into this bigger and bigger thing until like everything kind of erupts into chaos. And there were a few things I wanted to bring up after rewatching the movie. How do you guys want to do it? Should I bring up the things I want to talk about, or do you want to chime in with your opinions?
Did you say Spike Lee is in the film?
Yeah,
He's the main character.
He's
He's
Mookie.
Mookie.
Yeah, he's Mookie.
The boy?
The main character.
Main
yeah.
character.
No, he's
Works
the
at
Italian pizza owner. Yeah, he's the main boy. Yeah, he's the main guy.
The delivery guy.
Not the
Pizza
boy
delivery
that
guy.
like the kid, but yeah, he's like
Do you know what Spike Lee looks
He's
like?
on the cover of the movie.
Yeah.
He's the one that has the kid.
Yes.
yeah, he has
Oh my, he's so young. That kid
Yeah.
directed this film?
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, how
Yeah.
old was he?
That's crazy to hear. Wow. Okay, I did not know that was Spike Lee the whole time. Did a great job in that role.
Yeah. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of limited. I think there are like some kind of amateur aspects of the movie, but I also think the movie completely wears its heart and its style on its sleeve. Like there's so much style in this movie, and Spike Lee puts it all out there. Like that, I think that can be a complaint about Spike Lee, and that he has a little too much style sometimes. Like if you see like Chai Rock or some of his later movies, he gets a little too experimental, or he gets a little too out there for me at least. But this movie, for me, like the style is there, and it's wonderful. And there are times where it's kind of cartoonish, but also like really, really serious sometimes. Like, and I think the key for me of the whole movie is the characters. Like the characters all feel really rich and well developed, and even though you don't get to know too much about any of them, they still feel very real. Like the guy Radio who's walking
They're
down
all
the street
very
with
distinct.
totally. And they're all kind of their own thing. Like they've got, each one kind of has their own thing going on, but they all
Very distinct looks and yeah, very
Yeah.
different personalities
for sure.
for all the characters.
Yeah. And and it's like the movie's clearly mostly about like this racial divide between the black neighborhood and this Italian pizza owner, and he, the conflict may be small, but it's important to all of them. And the guy who owns the pizza place, Sal, I believe that he does love the neighborhood, and there's a point where he talks about the kid, how he watched everyone grow up, and he's been in the neighborhood for so long, and you could tell he loves his pizza joint, but he definitely also has elements of racism inside of himself. And the people in the neighborhood, they love him too. They love his pizza. But then, this one guy who I think everyone kind of knows is an asshole, he kind of like stirs up some trouble, and then it just kind of erupts into this like really, really sad, unfortunate thing that I don't think we need to get too much into, like exactly what happens. But I don't know. So what did you guys think? Did you like the movie?
Yeah, I wanted to point out something you said. Like, you mentioned that it's like a really small, mundane problem, like that he doesn't have any African American famous people on his wall. It's a small issue, like that they kind of talk about throughout the movie, until that like subtle racism that's been swirling around through the whole movie, until that's not a small problem anymore. And I think that's the really interesting thing about the movie. Like, it's small until it blows up in everyone's face, because no one's really doing anything about it, and no one's really addressing it, and just kind of letting it go. I thought that was, to me, such an interesting way to I guess, structure the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Bugging Out. Like, I'm sorry, I had to look it up. The guy's name is Bugging Out, who stirs up all the trouble, and seems pretty spot on. He's certainly bugging out.
It's, that guy is Gus Fring from Breaking Bad.
Was it really?
What?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he's like super young.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of... just about everyone in this movie, or not everyone, but like there's so many of them I recognized from other things.
Right. Well, you got like Martin Lawrence, who's basically doesn't have a role. He just is the guy. He's just the kid. He's just the kid who opens the fire hydrant. And then you got I'm blanking on his name, but you got the guy from The Sopranos, Phil Leotardo from The Sopranos, who's the Italian guy who's like, "Hey, don't spray me with that fire hydrant." Martin Lawrence is like, "Hey, I won't spray you," and then he sprays him.
John Turturro,
totally
major role. Sam Jackson.
Yeah, he's the radio DJ.
Yep. And then like even I forget what his name, but the commissioner from The Wire, and just I felt like most of these people the people in the movie I recognize from other things. Just kind of cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
This movie really reminded me of, in a lot of ways, of like how SLC Punk looks and feels. It just really reminded me of like someone just picking up the camera, showing up on set, and just trying so hard to make each scene just like have something funky going on, and to keep like the pace moving.
Have an energy.
Just a lot of energy. Like, just put some awesome camera movement, or some great music. Just like there's always something unique happening in each scene, even if it doesn't necessarily stylistically relate to what was going on before. Like, I think one of my favorite things, I think this has become a signature Spike Lee moment, but is when he like completely breaks the fourth wall and just starts showing people monologuing. And it's like right halfway through the movie, he goes up to like I think 6 people from all the different kind of like walks of life through this film, and just shows them saying the most vile hatred shit possible to another one of those like groups of people. And it's like this 4-minute scene, and it's just like kind of hard to just watch these people. But yeah, it totally breaks the fourth wall, and it's just like really powerful moment like that.
Yeah,
honestly, go ahead.
There's also that scene where Radio Raheem is like shadowboxing into the camera, and he's
about
got
love
like
and hate.
He's got love and hate on his hands, and he's like talking about how love and hate coexist, and throughout most of the movie, he's like a really like he seems like a positive guy, but like I don't know, I loved that monologue. And then, but what was funny about that scene too, though, was then the camera kind of pulls out and he's actually doing that at Spike Lee, like at the. But yeah, Sean, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I like the opening dance montage of this movie. I was just like, I already fucking love this movie.
Oh
like,
yeah,
just like the music and the like amateur but like really cool dancing, and I don't know, like, and the style of it. It was just like, I already love it. This is already so fun,
right?
And I was sold from that point on.
Could I say throw out one of my favorite like subtle moments? Had to do with the three people on lawn chairs. Again, I think this is about halfway through the movie. They're like watching some of the younger kids do some really like stupid shit, and they're just sitting back like shouting at them to like get a job, you fucking lazy piece of shit, and like swearing at these kids. And then the other guy like starts telling their third friend starts telling them to shut up and like asking them what they've done with their life and what they've been sitting on their ass in those lawn chairs day in and day out. Mm-hmm. And then at the same moment, some really hot girl walks by on the sidewalk, and all of them get distracted just to start booty calling, like hollering at this girl as she walks by. Mm-hmm. And it's like this perfect mess of like opinions and everyone thinking they're right, and just like while being, I don't know, disgusting themselves. And it was really great. Yeah,
and those are kind of recurring themes of the movie too, where I know there are a few moments where characters tell Spike Lee's character to grow up or to act like a man. Like those are two things that like come up a few times, and it seems like he's stuck doing neither of those things. He's just kind of it seems like throughout the whole movie he's like stuck in between making money, being a father, not wanting to do either of the things, kind of wanting to just hang out, but then also stuck between like his job and his race, and he's just stuck in the middle of a lot of different things.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
Can we talk about the ending in detail for this old movie?
Yeah,
this movie came out the year after
we could do spoilers for like just like a minute or like 5 minutes or like just.
Right. Good question. Do you think that Spike Lee's character threw the garbage can on purpose?
On purpose?
Or sorry, not on purpose. Do you think he threw the garbage can to kind of save his Italian pizza owner friend?
Oh, I didn't get
like
that
the mob destroying them, or did he do that because he was actually pissed off and wanted them to go down? There's a lot of weird stuff because he like sits on the sidewalk after and just kind of stares and like isn't a part of it, and it's kind of out of character for him at that moment in a little bit of a way.
What I got from that is that he came to a point where he felt that he had to choose sides, and he's not that kind of guy that chooses sides, but like, because he's like so emotionless when he does it, he just kind of walks over and picks it up. And then everyone else is like, oh shit. Everyone's freaking out. And he just throws it through there, and then that's all he does. That's like his whole involvement in the entire incident, really, right? So it kind of felt like I'm choosing my race because I'm going to stick with these guys no matter what, but I don't really, it didn't look like he really felt like that was the right thing to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It kind of felt like he was maybe making a stand, but...
Do you think he did the right thing?
Probably not.
Who? Me?
Any of us? Yeah. I don't think he did the right thing, but I kind of believe in de-escalation. I mean, the whole thing got escalated out of control, and it was really sad to see it all happen.
Which those quotes at the end, I mean, were just really poignant. And if it couldn't be any more obvious, the Martin Luther King and Malcolm X quote, along with the picture that was finally put up of the two of them actually shaking hands and coming together, even with their opposite viewpoints.
for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I just watched this movie like an hour and a half ago, so I'm still very much processing it.
I'm really glad you got us to watch this, though, Nick. This
Yeah,
has been
me
one of
too.
those things that I've been told my whole life. It's just one of those movies you got to see. It's always on lists everywhere, and just never ever got. I've seen so few Spike Lee films for some reason. And
Yeah,
really
I kind
glad
of
we
feel
got to watch this one.
I kind of feel like Spike Lee doesn't get the credit he deserves a little bit. I mean, he's a legendary director, and I think it's because he's made a few stinkers and like a bunch of movies that like people don't really talk about. But he's also made like a handful of like bona fide classics, and like Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, like both of those are classics, and I just don't know. I don't know if people like really talk about him or like seek out his movies as much as I think people should. But
I mean, this movie's like the filmmaking behind it, like shouldn't be understated. Like it's incredibly like creative and just like every second of this movie is so
The shot of the girl
well
etching on the
crafted.
sidewalk and the camera like above
yeah.
as he just walks by with the pizza. That was
Yeah.
just
So it's like after that, it really helps put into perspective because I've heard I've heard his name my whole life, but I've never really seen like movies that have really sold me on why he's this director that's been acclaimed for so long. And so yeah, it's just really cool to see this done so masterfully and so entertaining. And just like this is just everything you want in a movie. And yeah, I mean that's why it's stood the test of time, People
Absolutely.
still reference this movie and stuff. So
yeah.
good pick.
Well,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I'm glad you guys watched it. I'm glad you all liked it. If anyone out there hasn't seen it, it's Do the Right Thing. It's a classic, 1989, Spike Lee. Seek it out. Go watch it. It's a good movie. It's a great movie. So, but with that, I think we should just move on. We got to do our top 10s of the decade, and I have no idea what's on any of your guys' lists. So,
Not a clue.
I think we need to just dig into
I'm
it.
so curious.
Let's do it. Let's fucking do it.
Real
Hey.
quick, what's the order here?
Same order.
Let's do Brandon, Derek, Shaun, Nick. Just
Same
because that's
order.
what we had
Brandon, Derek, Shaun,
before.
Nick.
And
Okay,
that'll
cool.
are
be
we
easier for me
punting
to-
if that comes up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are punting.
Okay.
Brandon, Derek, Shaun, Nick. Okay. So, should we just get going? Top 10 of the decade.
Yeah, let's
do it.
jump.
Let's do it.
Oh my
So,
god.
Brandon, you want to go first?
Start us off.
Guys, this list was so crazy to make. My God.
It's only 10 years.
I got stressed out, and I didn't expect it to get this like heated for me when I was putting it together. Pretty amazing. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
So my number 10 is, to me, the greatest documentary I've ever seen in my life, and it's called The Act of Killing. This is a 2012 film. It follows the heads of like 1960s Indonesian genocide. A lot of the perpetrators who carried out hundreds and hundreds of these killings. It follows them like 20 years after, and a documentary crew goes in and has them recreate some of the scenes of their killing in very interesting ways. And what comes out of following these mass murderers is just one of the most remarkable and vile things you could possibly experience. But this documentary just shows how far you can push this genre. So, The Act of Killing.
Wow.
I remember when you guys were freaking out about this. It sounds really scary.
Yeah, it'll change your life.
It's so intimidating.
Great. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, great pick, Brandon. The Act of Killing. Derek, what's your number 10?
Yeah, Brandon's. I feel like Brandon's gonna hate my list.
Well, the thing is, I feel like this is gonna be crazy. Like, we just have to accept
Yeah.
it's gonna be crazy. I feel like Brandon is going to be on his own for a lot of this. No offense, Brandon, but like, you're gonna be
I
on
don't
your
think so.
own for
Like,
most.
really,
of this.
Brandon, already with that?
Yeah, like number 10 is a foreign film documentary. Like, Brandon's on his own,
About
guys. He's on an
genocide.
island. But Derek, I think me and you are gonna have some similarities, but I know I'm gonna be out there with a lot of these too. So,
Yeah.
So
All right.
Sean's going to be
All
the
right.
one that's going to fill in the gaps, I think, and kind of formulate our total top 10. Which, by the way, Sean, are you keeping track of that?
Yep, I got it.
Wonderful. So, cool. So, Derek, what's your number 10?
All right. My number 10 is Logan.
Nice.
Yeah, it's an X-Men movie, and it's amazing. I've returned to it a couple times. I've probably seen it like 4 times already, and it's just so goddamn good. I don't know. It's like kind of like a weird Western take on like the final, act of Wolverine, and I just think it's really cleverly done. It's really heartwarming, heartbreaking. And it brings me back to like, I mean, this is just like a personal thing, but just movies that I'd seen when I was younger that were like last time I watched this, I was like, how old will my son need to be before I'll let him watch this movie? Because like it's horrifying at parts. Like the violence is just so disturbing. It's so like emotionally upsetting. And I can remember a handful of movies seeing those things as a kid where they're just like shocking, and I don't know, the last time I watched it, that just all like came up when I was watching it. But yeah, it's really, really good. James Mangold, and it's what's his name? Hugh Jackman's last outing as Wolverine. So it's my number 10.
See how many Marvel films are on this
Yeah.
out of these films.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Good pick, Derek. Logan. Number 10. Sean, what's your number 10?
My number 10 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Ooh.
Punt.
All right. Hell yeah.
First
Times. Cool. Well, my number 10 is Her.
Ooh.
Came out in 2013. Spike Jonze film, starring Joaquin Phoenix, and it's a movie about kind of artificial intelligence, and but through the phone. And to me, I love this movie because it takes a really realistic sci-fi concept that you could totally imagine happening in the world. Kind of feels like we're halfway there, and he falls in love with his real person that's on the phone. And she, at first, you kind of don't believe it, but then she totally is a real person, and it goes in some really interesting directions. And I feel like it says a lot about relationships and loneliness and expanding the universe. And I just love this movie. So that's my number 10. Her.
Fucking Arcade Fire score too.
Oh, yeah.
So Brandon, what's your number 9?
All right. My number 9 is a guaranteed punt here from you guys. But this is Terrence Malick's masterpiece, The Tree of Life.
Yeah, punt.
Any other punts?
Do we need to keep track if there's any other punts?
I'm just curious.
No,
Sean
not
didn't punt it?
necessarily.
So Derek, what's your
Why
number
is Sean
9?
so quiet? What's going on?
I'm typing.
My number
Quietly.
9 is Jeremy Saulnier's Green Room.
Ooh, nice. Good pick. Love it.
Awesome pick.
I was just talking about that movie with my friend today on the hike.
Nice. Yeah, it's just like, good God. The movie, like, it's a really awesome movie. It's like the most punk rock movie. It's just so good. It's hard to like compare it to like, I don't know, masterful films of the last decade. But for me, it's just one of those movies that really is unforgettable. And, I've watched it multiple times. It's one of those movies that I always bring up whenever we delve into like talking about horror or something like that with people that I'm trying to get to like watch different movies. Green Room's always one of the first movies I recommend. And it really is just like a masterful like thriller. It's so freaking intense. And yeah.
I think Green Room is one of, if not the best thriller or horror movie that's not anything supernatural or like
Right.
cannibals. You know, it's just
Right.
like it's just regular people in a extremely terrifying situation.
Right.
Masterfully done.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just trying to move this along. So, Shaun, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is Blade Runner 2049.
All right, cool. Wow, surprised.
Yeah, this movie is just a masterpiece on so many levels. Denis Villeneuve, he has such an incredible control over his material and what he's doing on a scene to scene basis. And like, when I saw this movie, I walked out of it and I thought to myself, like, every single scene in that movie, I was looking at something I had never seen before in film. And like, it's so creative and interesting, and it does such a great job of adapting the source material. You know, I think it should go down in history as one of the great sequels. You know, right alongside Aliens and
Godfather.
The Godfather Part 2. Like, I mean, it's a movie that like really elevates the original and stands on its own. And yeah, it's an incredible film. And the look, the pacing, the tone, the you know, its commentary, what it says about humanity and our future. And yeah, I just think it's such a fascinating movie, and yeah, it really stands out in my head.
Awesome, love it.
Good pick.
Yeah.
I just watched that movie for my first time.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty
So curious if
incredible.
we'll hear Villeneuve's name again.
This is so much fun. All these movies, it's like, oh man, I wish that was on my list. You know, but like it seems like every one so far is like, oh man, like that's on my top 30 or whatever. But you know, it was a really good decade. And
Yeah.
anyways, my number 9 was Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master. Came out in 2012. I love this movie because everyone was expecting it to be like this big Scientology movie and like a takedown of Scientology, and it turned out to not be that at all. Instead, it was a character study about how something like Scientology gets started, and how someone could have an idea and how they can use the idea to manipulate other people and get inside people's heads and make a movement happen. It was more about these guys, these flawed individuals, and how they put pieces together and kind of how it snowballed into a bigger thing. And I just thought it was like a fascinating look at how that happens. And not to mention, it's like Paul Thomas Anderson, so it's super gorgeous. Every shot is just beautiful. The acting is just fantastic, and I just realized I have 2 Joaquin Phoenix movies back to back, which is fine, but he's like so great. And
Yeah.
you have the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman, who's also fantastic in this movie, and Amy Adams, who's amazing. Like it's to me such a great movie, and yeah, that's why it's my number 9.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Brandon, number 8.
My number 8 is David Fincher's The Social Network.
Punt.
Whoa.
Oh
Figured.
boy.
Totally figured.
Okay, cool. This is great. We got to keep this moving because we could have potentially up to, like, before it started, we could have had up to, 40 movies to talk about. And it's great when there's punts because that means we're moving it along. But, boy, it's just also really exciting. I'm like, oh, cool. Social Network. Anyway, Derek, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Denis Villeneuve's Arrival.
Punt.
Oh! Whoa, Shaun.
Sean with
Holy
2
moly.
Villeneuve.
2
Two
Villeneuves.
Denis Villeneuve.
Double Villeneuve.
Does anyone have
Does he?
Sicario?
Wow.
Sicario's
Do you have
my
Sicario?
favorite Villeneuve.
Yeah, I was
No.
gonna say, I think you
Sorry,
like Sicario the
spoiler.
most out of all of us.
Yeah, I do.
But maybe not. Maybe
God,
not,
what a
though.
good
Maybe
director.
Yeah, we'll see.
not. Who knows?
Yeah, he's all right.
Where are we at? Shaun, What's your number 8?
All right, my number 8 is Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this was my number 1 movie of the year, of that year. It's, as most of these movies were, that's nothing. But yeah, it's this movie, it just like kind of had everything for me. It was a super interesting plot, had a lot to say. It was funny, it was sad, it made me cry, it like made me like fall in love with the characters, and it has such an incredible cast. And it's so cleverly written.
That screenplay.
Yeah, it's just on every level worked brilliantly for me. And like, as I said at the time, it like where that movie ends is just so crazy to me. Like I would never have thought like it would end up where it did from where it began. And it's like, and that's kind of what he does with all of his movies is he like, and that's actually kind of what Seven Psychopaths I believe his previous movie to Three Billboards was all about, like making a movie that's not about what the movie is, like the kind of movie it is. And so it's like, it takes all these interesting turns and just like, you know, your assumptions about every single character is shattered, and you love a character and then you hate a character and then you are okay with a character, you know, like, and it breaks so many expectations, and it still stands out to me as one of the more interesting stories of the decade.
It definitely is. It's a good pick.
Nice. Cool. Great choice, Shaun. I figured you'd put this in there. I'm glad you did. My number 8 is The Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
So
that's one of those movies that I'll tell you after you go. It's your movie.
Well, it's cool. I knew I had to put a horror movie on here. It was kind of weird making this list because it's like you could do the simple way and just like pick your top movie from every year that we've done this and slide it in there. But I've never had a horror movie at number 1, and so does that mean like a horror movie shouldn't go in the top 10? But horror has been such a huge like category of movie for me this last decade. Like this is kind of the decade where I became like a huge fan of horror movies, and I kind of feel like Cabin in the Woods kind of kicked it off. And even though Cabin in the Woods isn't really that scary, it's more of a comedy in my opinion, but it totally dissects all of the horror tropes, and it goes through why we like horror and what horror means to a greater scale, and just there are surprises, there are twists and turns, and of course there's the shocking moment that is unbelievable. I couldn't even imagine how like the moment and how something like that could happen in cinema, and that kind of thing just still to this day gets me so excited. And rewatching this movie, it still is fantastic. It holds up completely, and I just love this movie. And so I had to put it on there. I had to have this be my horror movie for the decade. So that's my number 8, The Cabin in the Woods. Derek, what were you gonna say?
Good pick. Oh, I was just gonna say that's one of those movies that I love so much. I've seen so many times. It like came up when I was making the list, but I was like, I don't even know how to judge this movie fairly. It's just like one of my all-time favorite movies. I don't know if I'm like allowed to put it on the list or.
Hey, it's your list. You
You've
can do
seen
whatever
it
you want.
too many
like,
times.
I've seen it like 10 times. It's so good. But all right. Good.
So what is so we're Brandon. What is your number
7?
Number 7.
All right, Shaun, I hope you have my back here. My number 7 is Beasts of the Southern Wild.
No, sorry, Brandon.
Nope. Okay.
I have your back though.
All right, thank you. This movie came out in 2012. I think this is by far the smallest movie I have, and even like my top 20. It was like under like $2 million budget. Anyways, this movie follows this like 7-year-old girl who's just
Wallace,
an amazing actress, and
Didn't she get nominated for an Academy Award for that movie?
yeah, for best female actor, and it takes place in this like weird fictional world of Louisiana, in this place called the Bathtub, where the levees are like kind of flooding and global warming is causing a lot of these people's like weird boat houses and tree houses to go underwater. Anyways, it spirals a conflict with this little girl on her own. She goes on an adventure, and this director is just absolutely insanely imaginative and creative, and the score alone in this film like gets it halfway there for me, because every time I see it, it just like jazzes me up so much. It's one of the few scores like I'll just pop open on Spotify and get super into. But yeah, this movie I think was one of the first like big top 10 lists I made earlier in the decade, and this was number 1 on it. So I was pretty obsessed with it.
Yeah, I saw this movie only once a long time ago when it came out in theaters, and I don't remember a ton about it aside from, obviously Quvenzhané Wallis was amazing. But like the one thing I do remember is just bawling my eyes out. And so yeah, any movie that can do that to me is definitely up there.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah. Checks out, Brandon. It makes sense you had this on here. You were like the big supporter of this movie. You were.
Was it your number 1 of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My buddy worked
Wendy's
on that
coming out
movie.
like next month, I think. The
Yeah.
follow-up. I'm surprised it took so long for. What's the director's name? For that person to have a
I just
follow-up?
minimized the tab. Sorry.
Stand by.
Typed in Wendy's.
Ben
Zeitlin?
Zetlin. Bina Zeitlin. Yep.
Anyways, that's
Very
it.
unique
Anyways.
director. Good movie.
He did do a movie, Brimstone and Glory. Is that he's done it looks like he has done a couple things since then.
Okay.
Anyways, doesn't matter.
Well, anyway. So, Derek, what is your number 7?
My number 7 movie of the decade is Avengers Endgame.
Right. Wow.
Nick.
I don't know what needs to really be said about this movie. It's incredible. We just talked about it a bunch on our last episode. But yeah, I think it's one of the best superhero movies ever made. It'll probably hold that spot for a very, very long time. So.
Yeah, Derek. Sorry I didn't put it on there. I just I don't know. I championed it on the last list that we made, and I just the decade was too tight.
Turned your back when it really mattered, Nick.
What matters? What do you mean?
It.
Okay. Shaun, what's your number 8 or 7?
7.
It's 7. We're on 7.
Yes.
But
Correct.
my 7 is 1917.
Oh, your number 1 of last year.
Yeah, you guys, how the hell do you even compare movies?
Right.
You
don't.
You just don't. You just kind of make it up. But it's like
Yeah,
I'm comparing
make
this
up your
movie
own-
that I loved this year to like The Social Network that I haven't seen since I don't know 2015 or something. I saw 1917.
Pretty similar movies.
This month. But yeah.
Both shot by the same guy.
Oh, really? That's cool.
It was, yeah. Was it? All right, cool. Yeah, actually it was. Yeah. Anyways, 1917. It's an incredible piece of filmmaking. The feat itself just blows my mind. And then on top of that, it's such an emotional, insane journey. almost like on the scale of Lord of the Rings in a lot of ways. It's so powerful, and I think like they gave you just enough of every aspect of this movie to make the whole thing work. And I really think, like what Sam Mendes has said is like he had to make every editing decision, every like story decision on set the day of. He couldn't, because you couldn't like trim out a scene, you couldn't cut out pieces, you couldn't just like, oh, this scene isn't really moving the story forward, let's get rid of it. He had to make all those decisions on the day, and I think because of that pressure, what came out is an extremely concise and like very economical film, and like everything he was trying to do with the movie is like it's just enough, no more, no less, and it works so well in how that builds to the climax and to the ultimate like message of the film. And it's it's just incredible, an incredible film.
Hell yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's my 7.
Good pick, Shaun.
Yeah.
A little surprised it wasn't higher, but great pick.
There's
What's
a lot
going
of
to be on
good
the rest
movies.
of your list? Holy movie, yeah. Okay, so my number 7 is Pixar's Inside Out.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Nick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
Get out. No.
So to me, Inside Out is the best Pixar movie of the decade. Even though Toy Story has firmly etched itself as one of my favorite series of all time, like 3 and 4 came out this decade, and both of those are amazing. Inside Out to me is doing something extremely special and that no other movie has ever really been able to do. It's just such a creative concept to have emotions as characters living inside a person's head, and I honestly believe that this movie should be taught to elementary school kids. Like, this should be part of a curriculum to talk about empathy and why we need all of our emotions. Like it's all about feeling truly what you're feeling and not trying to just be happy for the sake of being happy. Like it's important to really explore and feel everything you're feeling. And the movie has a lot to say for adults and parents and for children, and it's a really awesome journey that they go on. You care about the characters. I mean, Happy, voiced by Amy Poehler, is super wonderful, but she's also kind of an asshole, and she it's just the way the movie plays out. It's just an amazing journey with a lot to say about real human conditions, and there's also some really heartbreaking moments, and it's also a coming-of-age story. Love this movie. I absolutely love it. So,
I feel like that's very kind of almost topical for like these types of lists. Like all these movies that we love so much, like they break our hearts. Like, and part of the reason why we love them is because they make us feel all these uncomfortable emotions that in real life kind of scare us or don't feel as good as they do when you're watching it in a kind of in a safe movie environment. Like you can express these feelings. So like I think that's a great point.
So
the movie made.
Yeah, that's a really good pick.
Yeah,
gone through number 7, so we're at number 6. So Brandon, kick us off.
All right, I'm nervous. Nick, this is where it starts, the series of movies
Here we go.
doesn't enjoy, like actually dislikes from here for a while.
What?
So my number 6 film is Loveless. This movie was my number 1 pick for 2017. It's a Russian film about a a divorcing couple who have no love for each other lose their child one day, and the search for him in the following month. What I can say about this movie is, in a very unflashy way, this movie is so jaw-droppingly meticulous in every single aspect. And I just remember, like, in awe at the control that this director, Andrei Zivgostiev, has on screen in every single shot. There is just some remarkable moments that can just slide by without you noticing if you're not paying too much attention on what he's doing with cinema. And so that's why I'm in love with it. So that's my number 6 is Loveless.
Loveless.
Mm-hmm.
I was really curious if you were going to put that on here. I was actually talking to a listener of our show today. I was telling him that we were going to record it, and we were kind of talking about different movies that might be on our lists, and he was asking if there were going to be like movies that we're like championing that might not like huge blockbusters, but like smaller movies that we're hoping. And I was kind of telling him about how I think your list is going to be like so different, like you're gonna have a lot of foreign films on there, and then I was like, I wonder if he's gonna put Loveless on there. I hate that movie so much. That might be one of my least favorite movies of all time. And I'm not gonna spoil it right now, but I love telling people about it because I love spoiling it for people because I actively don't want people to watch it. So because I think it's so upsetting.
You haven't seen it though, right?
I have not seen
but
it.
Derek has.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be. I'm sorry to be so negative, Brand. I don't mean. I guess I kind of mean to be, but I shouldn't say I don't mean to be because clearly I'm speaking with my mouth.
You're trying to be.
But
I hope you guys see it.
Yeah. I've always been pretty open about that. But anyway, your list is true to you, so I'm glad that you have it on there because it's very true to your taste. So
I know you've been a fan of that director for a long time. Like you had us watch Leviathan, which was one of his films, also, right?
Yeah.
I like Leviathan. I think Leviathan's great, but yeah. Cool. Well, Derek, what's your number six? I'm sorry. What's your number 6, Derek?
My number 6 is the Man of the Year, Bong Joon-ho, Parasite.
Ooh, punt.
Ooh.
Nice. Dope.
When you said Bong Joon-ho, I wasn't sure which one you were going to say first.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to have a few of his on here.
Yeah.
Shaun, what is your number 6?
My number 6 is Shoplifters.
Oh,
beautiful.
Wonderful.
Yeah, this movie, like every once in a while, this movie will just kind of pop into my head, and I'll just get like choked up, just like in my normal everyday life, and I'll have to like stop for a second and recompose myself, and yeah, it's a very small film. It's very nuanced and very subtle. But it's such an interesting look at this family, and I feel like there's so much going on with what the movie's saying and what it's doing with its characters, and it's like for the most part the movie is really beautiful and very very enjoyable to watch. Like the kids are so cute. And the family is so loving and such a joy to be around. And they have like these really poignant, beautiful moments as a family. And it just like, I mean, I don't really want to say too much, but like it's like it has really high highs and it has really low lows, but I think ultimately it really is a message of hope and an attempt to show the beauty of life and the people in it, even though there's a lot of struggle and sadness and yeah, I think ultimately it's about finding love and finding people who love you and loving other people. So yeah, it was also my another number one of the year, and yeah, it sticks with me for sure.
Great pick, Shaun. Great pick. I still haven't seen it. I really want to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly still hasn't seen it, and I've been meaning to get her on that for a while. So
Yeah.
maybe we could team up there.
Yeah, that'd be great. Let's make a night of it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, my number 6 is 2017's Baby Driver.
nice.
Yes.
So,
Good pick.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I was just in love with everything about this movie. Turns out I love car movies. I'm not super into cars in real life, but a movie about driving, oh hell yeah! Like I just get so into it, and like the action and the way this movie moves is just so exciting. It's like an action fairy tale, and with cars and bad guys and it's just exciting. And the soundtrack is one of the best soundtracks ever. It inspires me to listen to music. It just is wonderful. I just think this movie is wonderful, top to bottom. I can't get enough of it. Some of the best driving I've ever seen. Yeah, that's my number set. That's my number 6.
nice.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
so
one
glad
of
you
those
put that
movies
on.
that
Definitely put
teetered
Scott
on my
Pilgrim in
list.
my top 20.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that too.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm so excited for some of his upcoming projects. What's it called? I don't even remember. But yeah.
Last Night in Soho, I think, was his
Night in
newest movie.
Soho. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so cool. We're
Top
we're in the top 5 now. So we're moving in the top 5. I wonder if there's going to be any, like, I feel like this is where like there really should be more punts. Like I wonder
I would
if
hope
like
so.
the cream of the crop rises to the top with this one. You know, like I wonder if there's going to be more punts. I kind of feel like there should
Oh,
be, but
interesting.
it could be anything. So
I think there will be.
let's get into it. So Brandon, what is your number 5?
All right, again, sorry, Nick. But my number 5 is my number 1 film of 2015 called Victoria.
Oh, yes. This is so close to getting on my list, too.
Oh, damn, Nick.
I don't know why you're saying sorry. Like it's not. I don't hate this movie. I just didn't like it as much as you guys. Like this wasn't
I
a
think
movie
you
where I
gave it
was
like
like,
2 stars. just
Did I
looked at it
really?
today.
Yeah,
my
I think you did,
goodness.
Nick.
oh wow,
Two
that's
and a
rough.
half or something.
That's sad. Maybe I did back in the day, but okay.
Yeah, this is my number
I'm
1
sorry.
film. No worries. This is my number 1 film. This is a German, like, kind of thriller.
French?
It's the gimmick to it, the honest gimmick to it is a full-on 2 hour and 15-minute single shot movie, no cuts, no CGI, no hidden anything. And he got actors to follow through dawn of this one day. They shot it 3 different mornings and they picked the second one, and that's the film that you see. And what ends up unfolding throughout this 2 hours is the most insane, spectacular choreography of camera work and staging you could ever imagine. Not to mention, there's at least 2 moments where I was crying in this film, I was gasping, and it just has absolutely everything on top of that gimmick. So Victoria is my number 5 film.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it kind of started off a little bit slow, and I don't think I really even knew what the movie was like, or what it was going to, or even what genre it was, you know. But yeah, man, once it takes that turn, it is intense. It's a wild ride for the second half of the movie, or yeah, it's
This last
incredible.
third, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a really good pick, Brandon. This was like right there on the edge of my list too. I've been looking at just like the cover of the movie all day. Like, does it get on there? So good though.
Yeah.
This is another movie that I recommend to people all the time. Yeah. I rarely find anyone that will watch it, but
this is one of those movies where
really
because 1917 was so huge, this movie should be talked about more. You know, like I mean, 1917 is not really one shot and it's super gorgeous, but it's like, oh, you like 1917's thing, you know, you should try Victoria and see how it's done without, you know, the CG and the pretend cuts.
Oh, I think you said pretend cats.
That's what I heard. I didn't hear anything else. I have no idea what Nick said other than
pretend the
1917, but without all the cats.
Just silent. What cats? Great.
All right.
Cool. Well, Derek, what's your number 5?
All right, my number 5 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
Yeah, which was Shaun's number.
That
9?
was my number 10.
10?
Yep.
Yeah. I know we spoke about this movie a lot already, too, on this podcast. This was my number 1, I think, of 2018. I think maybe someone else's. I can't remember. But it's just one of the most gorgeous animated movies I've ever seen. And I think that's a pretty universal thing that people just like. It just garnered so much love just for how stylistic and like experimental it was, and like creating almost a whole new animation style for this movie. On top of bringing Miles Morales to the screen for the first time in like a really solid, like from beginning to end storyline that is really exciting, tons of character work, some heartbreaking moments. It's just full of like a really great cast, and just it's the best Spider-Man movie. And the fact that it came to us in this form is just really, really cool. And
it's such a great like turn from Sony's Amazing Spider-Man series and into like making such an interesting and bold decision. And I feel like it having a $90 million budget, it's like that's not a small feat. Like that's a big risk that they took on this movie, and it paid off for sure. And I hope they keep going on these types of movies. Keep taking that risk.
I think they're making a sequel for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
It's our
expect them
third Marvel movie on the on our decade list.
Yep.
Third Marvel movie on Derek's list.
On my list.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Derek's specifically. Shit.
How many?
All from
Marvel
3
there
different
be?
companies, though, right?
Very true.
Yeah, that's true.
Very
It was
true.
Fox at the time,
Disney
this is
and
Sony at the time, and
Yep.
Marvel Studios.
I do think it's like pretty. What you said about it being gorgeous. It invented a new style of animation, which goes super far. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys have it so high. I wish I could have fit it on there. Shaun, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Zero Dark 30.
Oh,
Nice,
wow.
Shaun.
Wow.
Good for you.
That was in my top 20.
Yeah.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, man, this movie is so good. It's so well written. And like you feel like you're in the hands of someone who put in so much time, research for this film. It's such an interesting story, and I haven't personally done the research, but it feels so accurately portrayed. I'm sure there's liberties taken, but this is such an interesting story. And to have someone so much at the center of it to carry the story along from beginning to end is so fascinating to me. And the movie has so many twists and turns, and it's doing so many different things. Like the whole last half hour is basically a completely different movie from the first 2 hours or so. And it never drops in intensity. And it's, you know, it's like a predominantly dialogue driven movie throughout that is so intense. It's like there's very few movies that are so dialogue driven for me that reach this level of intensity. And yeah, it's Catherine Bigelow and her co-writer are such good writers, I feel like, especially for this type of subject matter. And she's such a great director for this type of subject, as you know, she also did The Hurt Locker, and like that type of I guess really intense modern warfare type movie. But this one kind of has like an espionage twist to it. But yeah, it's such a good movie that and like the ending of that movie really sticks with me, and
it makes me nauseous.
Yeah.
It is so intense it makes me sick to my stomach.
And yeah, it's very very topical. It has a lot to say. It's
do you know, are the myth true that they, like, pretty much the second half of the movie, they like kind of wrote really quick and like because like they're filming the movie when all that actually happened in real life, and then they're we have to put this in the movie.
That did come out
right after.
Yeah, I think
that's what I had always heard, rumors that they like had the movie and they were making it was the movie still, but that whole ending, the last like half hour of the movie was all they like came up with it because it happened, and they're like, we have to shoot this. It has to be in the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'll read some articles.
He died May 2nd, 2011. This movie came out December 2012.
Wow.
So yeah, probably they must have started filming at that point.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
It's really a good pick.
Wow, cool. Great pick, Shaun. Honestly, that wasn't even like on my radar, but it's a fantastic movie. Great. Cool. Well, my number 5 is probably as far opposite of Zero Dark 30 as you can get.
Yes.
And honestly, it's like after, like Derek was talking earlier about The Cabin in the Woods and how you can't really compare it because it's such a personal favorite movie and it doesn't even deserve to go on my list, whatever you're saying, Derek. And I'm like, of course it does. It's your list. My number 5 is Jim Jarmusch's Patterson. I love this movie so much. It's one of my all-time like most rewatched movies, even though it only came out like 2016, I think. It's a movie that I can just turn on at literally any moment and it makes me feel good. And I just love sitting around hanging out with these people. It inspires me creatively. It inspires me to be a good person. It inspires me to just like appreciate a simple life through mindfulness. I love the characters. I love the people in Patterson, New Jersey. I love how the dog is the villain of the movie, and he's just like this cute little dog. I love how barely anything happens in this movie, and they just like sit around writing poetry all day. Like I just love it so much. It's a movie about poetry and New Jersey, and it's just completely up my alley. And I just love it so much. So yeah. That's my number 5.
I was genuinely curious.
Go ahead, Brandon.
I was genuinely curious if you were going to have 2 Jim Jarmusch movies in here with Only Lovers Left Alive.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't. I kind of made a thing that I'm not gonna put two directors of the same. I'm not gonna put two of the same director on there.
Yeah.
There's just too many good movies to include two of the same director. No offense that you guys did, but like I just was like I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, Only What Was Left Alive could have been my horror movie, but also that same kind of thing where it's not really even a horror movie as much either. But yeah, Jim Jarmusch is great. So
Nick, I'm curious what you think. Do you think the mediocrity of the poetry of this movie is important?
are you saying that like he's not a good poet? So
no, I think he's I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm getting into it. Like, I think that I think he's a mediocre poet, and I think that's like so beautiful. And I think we may have talked about this.
Yeah. I mean, I think
I
part
thought
of his
I was
thing
trying
is
to
that
bring
like
up something, but
I think part of his thing is that like anyone could be a poet, anyone could be an artist. I think that's kind of part of the movie, and I think it's like pretty, clear that throughout the movie he's reading a book of lost poems by his favorite poet. Blanking on his name. I'm not gonna be able to remember it, but he's reading the early works from his favorite poet. So it's kind of reflective of like he could be like a starting out, like maybe someday he'll be a lot better, but yeah, I mean, I guess I do think that's kind of part of it. I don't think he's a bad poet though. I do think his poems are really
I
fun.
think he's I think there's like a kind of a beautiful message there that like the mediocrity of his poetry and like but at the same time it's mostly just for him and because of that there's so much meaning behind it. I just really like that message of the movie.
Totally. Number 4. Let's do our number 4s. Brandon,
here we go.
What's your number 4?
All right.
Yep.
My number 4 is A Separation. I made you guys watch this, I think, a year ago for winning some kind of competition, some movie wager or something. This is, to me, the drama of all dramas. It is just people yelling, screaming, shouting at each other and twisting and conniving and being so ruthless and so horrible. But everything, all the twists, all the turns, and why everyone's doing everything, like why all the characters are doing exactly what they're doing, makes sense for what they need to accomplish and them trying to do what is right for their situation. And at the bottom of it is their daughter, who is just completely suffering through the backdrop of these two parents going through a separation and divorce. This is an Iranian film. And this is the only film on my list that I actually saw well after the fact. I think I didn't see this till like 2016 or something, and it came out in 2011. But I think this is one of the best dramas ever made.
Yeah. And that director, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he's done a bunch of other really amazing dramas. Like
Yeah, Asghar Farhadi. He's on point with his movies before and after this.
Great. Good choice, Brandon. I remember watching that. It was a great movie. I kind of forgot that it came out this decade, though, honestly.
Yeah,
so,
early.
Came out 2011?
2011. Cool.
Won the Oscar.
Derek, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is David Fincher's The Social Network.
Damn.
Ooh.
Nice.
Nick?
Wait.
What?
So someone probably shares the movie.
Should punt,
this
according to my notes.
Well, unless someone shares it, like in the same slot.
I don't know if this is allowed, but I actually made a last minute change while we were recording, and I was hoping I could. I was hoping no one would notice, but I pulled the Social Network off.
It's already in the notes, Nick.
Well.
Oh, okay.
I just I don't know. I realized I was forgetting something.
I think that's fair. You can do that.
I mean, like, honestly, there isn't much of a difference between like 5 and 18. You know, like they're all pretty close. And so, like, right when I realized I forgot a movie that was in my top 5, I was like, I'm sorry, I gotta take off the Social Network. And I mean, it just happened. So I'm sorry. It's a great movie, and
Yeah,
I wish
okay,
it was. I
okay.
wish
No,
it was
it's
that
fine.
high. It just didn't happen. I'm sorry.
No worries. All right, so Social Network. This is my favorite David Fincher film. It's weird that this, of all the movies that he's made, of all these amazing films he's made, the movie he made about Facebook is like his best movie, at least in my opinion. But God, this movie just like, it's so like, if you're a fan of David Fincher, it's usually his style has a big part of that. He has a very distinct style, and all of his movies kind of follow that. And I think like his style combined with Aaron Sorkin's dialogue and Jesse Eisenberg's like cold like performance. Yeah, and he's just able to deliver these lines like a robot, and like it's just so freaking good. And it's like one of those movies that the dialogue is exciting. Like when you're watching like Mad Max and there's explosions going off and your heart's beating, like that happens when they're in the courtroom in this movie for me. Like it's just so biting and so like passive aggressive, but like in the most like gut wrenching way possible when he's just like destroying people with words so quickly.
Scene in that movie, the opening scene and the dialogue there is just like one of the best openers of all time. Just the way they go back and forth and how so honest and brutal and realistic they are to each other is just sets the tone for all of what you just said.
And how many ideas and themes and pieces of characterization that opening scene sets up to come back later in the film is like such an economical piece of filmmaking or piece of writing.
Shaun, was this on your top 10?
No, it's right there.
Oh, okay, well, it was on my top 10, guys. And it was my number 8. And this is, to me, David Fincher's, I guess, best film. And he is just one of the best directors ever. And like you said, Derek, there's just like a trifecta happening of just perfect directing, writing, and acting that just cannot be beat. And mixed with Trent Reznor's insane score. I remember when this movie was like announced, and I didn't really know much because it was such an early movie in the decade. It was almost cringy. Like, why are they making a movie about Facebook? This is going to be so like cheesy and bad. And my God, we were wrong.
Fun fact: I wasn't on Facebook until after this movie.
Remember the trailer for this movie and how it had the Radiohead song "Creep"?
Yeah,
but like not by Radiohead, and it was like an orchestra, and it was like showing pictures of everyone, like, just so chilling.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's just like, God, it's really good.
It's a great film.
Really sorry about that, guys. I'm really sorry that happened. I just I had like a list on my note, and then when I was putting it into Letterboxd, I missed a movie and I noticed around number 8, and at that point, like, it was just too close. But
tell us the movie when you get there.
It's coming up.
The movie that replaced it.
Yeah, let's keep going.
Well, it was Patterson. It was Patterson. Okay. Yeah, it was Patterson.
Patterson was your.
It was my number.
Oh,
5.
I see. Yeah, gotcha. So, yep.
Right.
Social Network would have been at number 6, though. Like, that's where it was going to be. But then, I'm sorry. Anyway, great movie,
Shaun.
though. Good pick, Brandon and Derek. I'm super happy it's so high on your list. Where are we at? Shaun, what is your number 4?
My number 4 is Black Swan.
Oh. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, man, talk about a unique horror film. It still stands out to me as one of the most chilling movies I've ever seen. The psychological breakdown of this movie is fucking brilliant. And the performance of Natalie Portman's performance in this movie is, kind of, I guess, put her on the map for me, at least. I know she's been really good in other movies, but this was really the first incredible performance that I saw her in. And yeah, Darren Aronofsky is one of the best filmmakers of the last 20 years, and I think this is, obviously I think this is one of his best films, if not his best. Yeah, actually I'll commit to it. I think it's his best film for sure.
Just own it.
It's horrifying too. It's like the twisted psychological journey that it takes you on, and the cinematography is incredible, and the detail that this movie is shot in, and like the nuance of the detail of like not only just the dancing and how they portray the dancing, which it is like entirely convincing throughout the entire movie. Like I never, like you can tell sometimes that, you have a professional actor or a professional dancer dancing in these shots where you can't see their face. But the way that this movie does it, like with as if the camera is almost dancing with the actor, and like the choreography of that is just so incredible, and it's entirely convincing. And yeah, it's haunting. And yeah, I loved it. Loved the movie.
Great pick, Shaun. Yeah, great pick. Loved Darren Aronofsky. Great movie. Surprised. I didn't know you loved this movie so much, but
yeah,
it's cool that's so high. It's really awesome. Cool. My number 4 was Parasite. So,
Damn.
Yeah.
This was a punt from
good.
Derek.
Hell
I think?
yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yes.
we've been talking about this movie a lot. It just won Best Picture at the Academy Awards, which was a big surprise for us. Super happy it won, though. I feel like this movie has so much to say about class structure and families and all sorts of different things. But it also, for me, it balances being super hilarious and like a social satire with being like super intense and like unforgettable. And I just think this movie's really special. And I said it after I watched it the first time that I felt like I just watched a classic, and I stick by that. I felt like that was truly a classic. So yeah, Parasite's my number 4.
Every day I open up YouTube and there's a new essay about Parasite, like every single day. Everybody has so much to say about this movie, and it's really cool. It's like that's freaking awesome. It's like it's this foreign movie, and it's just that's not a common thing.
Yeah,
for a movie like that to be this.
It's a hot topic right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. John just watched it on an airplane today.
Yeah.
Flying back to Seattle.
Nice.
So top 3s. Brandon, what is your number 3?
All right. My number 3 is Roma. This
right.
is
Oh.
directed by Alfonso Cuarón. And this movie came out in 2018, Netflix film. Shaun, I was thinking you were going to put it somewhere on here, but I'm all
No.
alone here. I was like waiting for you.
Not really. Yeah, it just didn't.
Okay.
Didn't quite do it.
All right, what to say about Roma? Yeah, I just went to Mexico City end of last year. I saw the house that Roma was shot in. This movie moved me in ways very few films have throughout this decade. There are just some of the most remarkable, sweeping set pieces in a drama film you will ever see. And what Alfonso Cuarón... Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Alfonso
That's right.
Cuarón shot this.
Yeah,
Well, I'm sitting here waiting.
he won
like,
for
thinking it's gonna
for
be
best cinematography for it.
Emmanuel Lubezki for a second. Anyways, I'm reading the Wikipedia. What Alfonso Cuarón did with the cinematography of this film is just absolutely insane, and he puts together these just glorious, massive moments on screen. all the way down to the most intimate, personal, horrifying moments in like hospital rooms that you never get to be a part of or ever get to witness or feel what they're feeling. This movie is absolutely in my top 3, and I'll never forget it.
That was a very, very impressive movie. That's one thing I remember about it. It's like that shot, like the riots. That's that shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's shot like an epic. It's
And there's
it's
just
a quiet,
like 20 of those.
yeah, it's a quiet drama that is a quiet personal drama that's shot like an epic. And yeah, there's nothing else like it. It's pretty amazing.
There's a new documentary about the making of it on Netflix, and it also just became part of the Criterion Collection, which is interesting because it's the first Netflix original that's released like on home video, and obviously through the Criterion Collection that means like it's super, like they super respect it and everything. So it's pretty awesome.
That's cool.
The artwork on the case is super beautiful. Good pick, Brandon. I'm glad it's so high. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Derek, you're number 3.
All right. So this is my movie that I'm championing. This, yeah. This is my number 3 pick is Bong Joon-ho's Okja.
What?
Oh, wow.
This
No. You
Yeah.
said on the last episode that I'm so confused.
You
You
said
Parasite was his
Derek.
best film.
I said it is his best film. It's not my favorite of his movies.
Oh, tricky. Okay.
Yeah, Okja is just like it's such a weird movie, but it I feel like I just talked about it. Did I talk about it recently? Maybe not, but
Brought
anyways,
it up on the last episode.
it's just such a it's like, you know, it's kind of a fantasy, like semi like futuristic, but also kind of just like a, I don't know, an alternative reality. I don't really know what you call this kind of movie. But it's just so weird and filled with such interesting and like off the wall characters. And Bong Joon-ho doesn't like ever falter in his filmmaking. Like, you know, he wrote and directed this movie, and it's such a unique, out of all his movies, I feel like this one fits the least, at least the ones I've seen. This is his most like comedic at times, and also probably the most drastically shifting tones, I feel like. It could, at points it feels like a cartoon. It's so silly, and then it'll jump to like horrifying things that are happening on screen right in front of you. And I think just like the ballsiness and willingness to like the willingness to believe that will work, and then just like committing to it and telling this movie the way they did. I don't know. It was like the second it got over, I was just like, I think right when it got over, I went on Letterboxd and changed my top 4 movies, you know, that you have on there, and I added it to that list. It was just like,
Wow.
I couldn't believe how happy and excited I was having just watched that movie. Just how it just like checked every box for me. It really just like, yeah, I don't know. It just felt like everything I wanted it to happen. It was just so exciting. So
That's really awesome, Derek. Earlier this week, I heard a teenage girl in the cafeteria tell her friend that she just watched a random movie on Netflix called Okja, and she's never going to eat meat again because of it.
yeah.
And I was like, great movie. And she was like, oh my God, you've seen it? I was like, yeah, I've seen it. It's really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great pick. Super surprised. It's that high. You got us. You got us.
Yeah.
Might be the biggest controversy of the top 10s.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Shaun, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Mad Max Fury Road.
Punt.
Wow. Cool.
Was that, how many punts was that?
Is Brandon not punting Mad Max?
Doesn't sound like
How
it.
many punts was that?
It was at least 2.
At
okay,
least 2.
in the top 3. Wow. Okay, so number 3 for me is Boyhood. Yeah, I love Boyhood. This is Richard Linklater's film, which he shot over, what was it, 13 years? He did a little bit.
12.
Yeah.
12 years.
Yeah.
And he shot a little bit of it at a time, and it's a story of this boy growing up. And I think it's reasonable to say this movie is a gimmick, except I think that it wouldn't have worked with anyone other than Richard Linklater. And Linklater is the king of like hang out and talk movies. Like his dialogue has always been super amazing. Look at the before films, but he also knows how to set a tone. And you watch like Dazed and Confused and other movies, like he clearly knows what he's doing, but he's really amazing at capturing the essence of the characters and the world that they're in. And by coming back to this subject matter every few years, I really don't think anyone else would have been able to fully like capture the changing of someone's life the way that he does it. I mean, he's kind of doing the same thing with the before movies, but like those are 10 years apart on each one. But I just thought that Boyhood was so true and so emotional, and it was to me like the epitome of a coming of age story. So Boyhood's my number 3.
Yeah. I don't know if there's ever going to be a movie like this again.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Moving on to number 2s.
All right.
Brandon, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is, as we mentioned before, Leviathan.
Nice. Okay.
This is another movie I made you guys watch 2 years ago when I won another award. This is the movie this director made, Andre Z, whatever his last name is. He made right before Loveless, and it is everything I said about Loveless in its craft, plus a story that just goes so much further. To me, this just feels like The Godfather, like when I sit down and watch it, of like Russian Catholicism and Russian mobsterness, I guess, and corruption. I watched this movie on a plane, and like I just remember experiencing this, looking down at my phone at that like for those 2 hours, just could not believe what I was watching. And I'm so glad I discovered this director, because he does everything for me when I watch his films. I think just the comparison to I know a lot of people haven't seen it, but the comparison to The Godfather just really says a lot to me, and I think that is the closest I can put it. So if you like that, if you like The Godfather, which everyone does, go see this movie.
Nice.
Yeah. This movie's great. Very, very existential, very much. I don't know if I would compare it to The Godfather, but yeah, great.
Yeah.
Great choice, though. Very, very beautiful, too. Like, the way the movie's shot is just fantastic. I'm glad you have it so high on there, Brandon. That's true to you. I can't believe you watched it on a plane for your first time, though. I had no idea that...
No. I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
Yeah, wow. Holy moly.
2014.
Oh, boy. So, cool. Well, where are we at? Derek, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is Mad Max Fury Road.
Cool. That's also my number 2.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Got it.
Yes.
The number ones are now.
You do?
Oh, of course.
What? Really?
What?
Keep going.
No idea.
I mean, I feel like Parasite's going through like a Mad Max thing right now, where it's just like everybody talked about Mad Max. Everyone still talks about Mad Max Fury Road. It's just one of those one of those things where it's like, it's, I don't know. It's like it's weird when you look at movies like that are considered the greatest movies ever made. You know, you look at like The Godfather and like Citizen Kane and stuff, and then you look at like Mad Max Fury Road, and it's completely different. Like in every way, there's no comparison to those movies in any way. But at the same time, I hold it with the same kind of like I'd put it right up there with one of the best movies ever made, and it's just because it's. Everything about it feels impossible to me. Nothing that I see in that movie, it doesn't look like it's on Earth. It doesn't look like anything. It's like, it's just pure imagination. And I mean, I guess the only thing is, you know, we got cars. There's a lot of cars and guns and stuff
and
like
humans.
that. And humans, I guess. But yeah, it's like post-apocalyptic. And so it's crazy that movie is just so good. It was like between that movie and Blade Runner 2049, I think kind of go hand in hand because they're both like sequels that were like 30 years in between the last movie, you know? And whatever it is about, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to really say about the movie. It's like, it's not like a meaty, like movie where there's a lot of like themes to talk about. And there are stuff to talk about, but more than anything, it's just like a feat of filmmaking that's just so spectacular. And it's like, it's not even like nobody else can pull off these stunts. It's like nobody else has the creative vision to make a movie like this work like George Miller does. And it's just like finally, like, you know, probably at the end of his career, like technology and like money and like him and like everything finally like met up at this pinnacle where it's just like this movie freaking came out and it's the best looking movie I've ever seen, and it's incredible.
Yeah, Derek, I agree. This movie is and pretty much everything you said. It's like, it's super gorgeous. It's, to me, it's probably the best action movie I've ever seen. Like, it's just, it's creative on another level. It's just unbelievable what happens in that movie. I kind of want to push back a little bit about how you said there aren't a lot of themes, because I think there's not a lot of plot, but
yeah,
I do think that in the little amount of plot that there is in the movie, they do explore a lot of different themes, like, you know, greed, corruption, hope, escape, you know, like just survival, and what do you do in the face of it? Like, what, there's even like little bits of like feminism in there, you know, like there's that scene where he like just kind of nonchalantly hands the gun to Furiosa. And
right.
It's like, it's not a big deal. It's not like a big moment, like, you know, feminism, rah, rah. It's like, no, you're just a better shot than me, so you should take the shot. And,
right.
But that is something important. Like, that's huge. And, you know, I think that the movie explores a lot of concept with the little plot that it does have.
For sure.
And it just firing it on all cylinders. Like, holy moly, this movie just nonstop. Yeah, there are certain shots I think about just all the time, like that hopelessness shot where they're putting everything they have into a certain hope, and then they get there and it's gone, and Charlize Theron
on her knees,
puts her knees
like,
on the ground,
yeah,
and the
wind
is blowing the sand, and it's just like, it's all the feels, you know, it's everything. Such a great movie.
This is an absolute masterpiece. It's so dense. It's and so economical and efficient with its storytelling, and like just about every piece of characterization and everything you know about the world and the plot and the characters and the themes is all embedded in these insanely elaborate and intense and fun action sequences. And it's a masterclass of setups and payoffs in a very subtle way, and in a way that doesn't really draw attention to itself. Like so many subtle things throughout the movie are set up and pay off, and then like that as a whole. But then within each individual action sequence, there's so many little like following of specific objects throughout this action sequence and understanding so quickly with such economical shots and editing. Like you're able to follow this insanely complex action and objects and people and have it all come together and work and be understandable. Or I said understandable, but I meant understandable. And it's like you compare like this to other movies that cut really fast, or other movies that are really intense and close-ups and shaking and shaky cam and everything. But this movie does all that with such elegance and such a great understanding of how to shoot action that I feel like that is what puts it up there for me. And yeah, it's a masterpiece. It's incredible piece of cinema.
Yeah, Mad Max Fury Road. Wonderful pick. So it's none of our number ones, but like
no.
Wait, so Shaun and Brandon don't even have it on their lists?
So Shaun had it
No,
earlier.
I had it number
Shaun
3.
punted it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Shaun needs to do his number 2.
Yeah, I need to do number 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, has anyone noticed what Shaun's buzzword of the day is?
Yes.
What is it?
Economical.
Oh yeah.
We all.
Okay,
So economical.
Shaun, what is your number 2?
My number 2 is 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, 12 Years a Slave again is a masterpiece, much like a lot of these movies. It's, I've only seen 2 Steve McQueen, or no, I guess I've seen 3 Steve McQueen movies. And he is a filmmaker that has such an incredible understanding of the craft and is able to use the language of film unlike anyone else working today. He's an absolute master of his craft, and there's so many brilliant shots in this movie that are heart-wrenching and hard to watch and brutal. Yet he's such he does such an incredible job of like making you feel everything that he can squeeze out of a shot or a scene. And it's very economical.
Of course.
Of course it's economical. But yeah, it's a highly emotional film. It's hard to watch. I feel like that's a theme with him. He makes a lot of hard movies to watch. He's a master of his craft. There's such great performances in this movie. And
was that
yeah,
Lupita
yes.
Nyong'o? Was that her first movie?
Oh, I don't know.
But she got nominated, I think, for that movie.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wow. Great choice, Shaun. I wasn't
That was her
expecting
first
it,
movie.
but,
Steve McQueen.
Yeah, great choice though. Great. So my number 2 was Mad Max Fury Road. So we're going to our number 1s, which Brandon has declared that he knows everyone's already. So,
Brandon's gonna tell us all.
Brandon's
You guys know?
Brandon's gonna go over it really
So
quick.
Brandon,
Just kidding. We know what
So
Brandon.
Brandon-
You guys
I
can
know what
guess
Brandon's
mine.
number 1 is. I think. Brandon, you love to play this game of figuring it out. You gotta be one step ahead. But it's cool. It's cool. Your number
I
1
have no idea what Brandon
is.
My number 1 is The Great Beauty.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh,
That makes sense.
This is Paolo Sorrentino's film. We all watched this together.
Yeah.
Well, it's my second or third time seeing it, but we all watched this together for you guys' first. It was really fun. It was
Right.
a blast.
Yeah.
This movie came out in 2013. It's an Italian film. It won Best Foreign Film at the Academy Awards. This was my top film of that year and top film of the decade. This is one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen in my entire life, and I cannot say that enough about it. Like, I could just like put this film on mute and just watch it. And in fact, I've seen the opening like 20 minutes many times. It is so fascinating just to dissect and to see what this filmmaker can put on screen. This movie like really moves me. It has such a unique like mood and style, like between like comedy and sarcasm and just really high art visuals. But it just like is a really beautiful story about this one man, and it's so personal about him growing old, having written a book 30 years prior and living this kind of lavish lifestyle in the middle of Rome. And the journey it takes you on just really, really gets to me. And then by the end, it just makes me feel everything. So, The Great Beauty is my number one film of the decade.
wow.
It's a good pick. There's a lot of movies on your list that you've made us watch already.
Yeah. Totally. It's very cool. Yeah. Great movie. I figured it was coming. When it wasn't on there, I was like, I think that's gotta be his number one. So.
I didn't even know that movie came out this decade. I totally didn't even think about that movie.
Great. So,
Nice.
Great pick, Brandon.
Brandon.
You're number one.
Yep.
What's my number one, Brandon?
Yeah, Brandon.
You got to say it.
Do you know what it is?
Uh-huh.
It's Nicholas Winding Refn's Drive. It's my number one movie for the decade.
Nice.
You made us watch this, Derek. This is one you showed us.
I know.
I remember you saw it in theaters all alone, and you're like, guys, I discovered this film. We had no idea what you were talking about.
Do you remember being at Comic-Con? And this is such a small thing that happened when we were waiting for like Peter Jackson to come out. Nicholas Winding Refn came out, and he showed us the elevator scene from this movie, and that's it, and no context about anything. Do you remember that?
Spoiler alert.
That's all he showed, and then he just walked off stage.
What?
I was like, what the hell was that?
And then Peter Jackson comes
And
in.
then like, yeah, Peter Jackson came out and stuff. But
Wow.
yeah, that was like the introduction to this movie. And then I went and saw it, and blew me away. This movie, it's a really good movie, but it's like, it's kind of, I don't know, it's hard for me to describe it because I feel like it exists in like, it does a bunch of like things that other movies do a lot. And I think it's just the way that he put them all together in this movie is why I like him so much. It's like a mob movie, but it's also kind of a love story. And, but really it's the music and the way this movie's put together, the way they display violence in this movie. And I think it just, me seeing it at an influential time in my life, it just like, it literally has affected my taste in music just in general across the board. I like different music because of this movie. It's also been one of those movies that is always popping up in my head. Just, I've probably watched different scenes from this movie close to 100 times. I've seen the movie like 10 times, and it just, it's got so many just different moments that just imprinted themselves so firmly in my brain that it's like, it's hard for me to pick and say what it does better than all these other movies. But the one thing I know is that it stays with me, and every time I watch it, I love it more and more. And yeah, it's an awesome movie. It's my number one.
That's great, Derek.
Such a Derek pick.
Yeah, Derek, I wanted to put it on my top 10. Like, that was my number one of the year when 2011. I really wanted it to be on there, but I just couldn't justify having 3 car movies on my top 10.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it. But yeah, it's so great. I think about that opening scene like all the time. Just whenever I'm driving. Just kidding. But
Yeah.
So good. I'm really happy you have it.
So much style and
Mm-hmm.
pizzazz.
Okay. Sean,
Take us
your
home, guys.
number one.
Brandon, what's my number one?
I know it. It's obvious.
Is it?
Go for
So
it.
obvious.
Yeah.
My number one is
Oh, wait.
Arrival.
Oh yeah, you
Oh.
punted this. Should have
No.
known.
Brandon, no. No.
Oh shit.
No.
I know what Nick's
No,
number
go
one is.
do it again.
All right, keep going.
No. It's not,
My-
actually.
My number one is Arrival.
Two Villeneuve. Oh,
Yeah, two Villeneuves. This movie is an incredible piece of cinema. I rewatched it somewhat recently, and this movie has the power to break me. And it's like I had to take like a good 20-30 minutes of just laying there in an emotional mess to get over this movie. It has so much to say about humanity, and it's such a positive and optimistic view on life and what we go through and why we go through it. And such an incredible message of hope. And and there's so many great ideas, and it's such a fun and interesting and unique sci-fi premise to tell this story. And it's kind of subtle, and it doesn't, the ending is not a super climactic sci-fi movie ending, but it's such an emotional ride. And it's a masterful piece of filmmaking all around, and I loved this movie. I love this movie every time I watch it.
you say anticlimactic, but that ending twist just really did it for me.
For sure.
My God.
I was more
like
talking
not-
about as
It's
far
not
as
like a
sci-fi goes.
Yeah, it's like not a sci-fi like action climax, but man,
Right. Not an action
the
climax.
the climax though is like really amazing. It like trips you out, and for me, it's one of those movies that's clearly smarter than me. It doesn't feel the need to like over-explain itself. It just happens, and it's like, wow, powerful. Like it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
for sure.
Great
This
director.
was my number 8. I'm right there with you, Sean. It's my favorite Villeneuve movie I've seen so far too, by quite a bit. It was my number 1 movie of 2016, and very powerful. I just started reading the screenplay yesterday, actually.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah,
Fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Wonderful. Arrival, number 1 for Sean. So yeah, my number 1 was punted from earlier, so
Yep.
you should know what it is, but it's the Tree of Life. The Tree of Life.
Wow.
Good one.
I love this movie. I think it's the most beautiful movie I've ever seen. Maybe it's up there. It's just jaw dropping. It has so much to say about the world and being a human, and has big feelings and sweeping shots, and it's just so great. Like it's it's one of those things where like there's no way he could tackle that whole subject, like Earth and the universe and humans and how we all tie together. And nope, he explores it. He certainly does, and it's just super beautiful. And you know, it's a Terrence Malick thing where it's really meditative, and you just soak it in, and it's wonderful. So
Yeah,
if you haven't
this is
seen
my
it-
number 9 pick. Terrence Malick's masterpiece. I don't have much to add, but my God, it's a good film.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. It's super
Totally
great.
agree with that.
Wow, our lists were really all over the place, though, guys. Like
Yeah.
there really were
Yeah.
not that many crossovers. I mean, Sean,
7
you're gonna run the numbers
crossovers.
right now, and then you know we'll see.
Crunch some
There's gonna be a
numbers.
lot of ties, and in my opinion,
Yeah.
ties should go first to the movie that has more people picking it, if there are any double picks, and maybe then to the second tiebreaker being like the higher ranked movie for whoever. So like if it's like a number 2 would go higher than, you know, a number 3 or something. That's just my opinion, but I don't know. Do you want to run the numbers and see how it turns out?
Yeah, let's see. Here we go.
Crunch him.
Wow. Well, we have a clear front runner for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you guys looking at it?
Obviously.
No,
No.
do
I'm
not
waiting for you
have
this
it,
time.
no. I don't
All
have it.
right.
Give it to me, Sean.
Well, let's see. So, well, it's, you know what? It's not terrible. It's not too bad.
Can you like make some judgment calls
Yeah,
and just like
we-
break it down really quick? Like,
Yeah, I think so. I think, and then maybe the ties we can discuss. There's 3 ties, and they're only 2-way ties. So maybe
Okay.
we can just talk about them and pick it.
okay, so what's
No, that's gonna be
what's the
tough.
top tie?
All right, so we'll start with 10. Number 10 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Nice.
8 points.
Yeah.
With 2 lists.
Good job, Spider-Man.
Yeah, 2 lists. Number 9, 12 Years a Slave.
Nice.
And that is tied with Leviathan with 9 points.
Yep, 2 and 2.
Both 9 points. I don't know. Do we want to break that down and pick a winner or
Oh.
something? Is that how we're doing this, Nick?
That's pretty hard. I forgot that it was like, okay, so you're
Yeah.
both at number 2. I feel like the third tiebreaker would be like, have we all
Yeah.
seen the movie? I guess we have all seen both of those
movies.
movies, right? Maybe we should just
Yep.
leave it as like that's
That's
number
okay.
9.
Okay, we're only in the not even the top 5 yet. So let's leave that one. Those are tied at 8. Then we have another tie. So tied at 10 are Drive and The Great Beauty, both number 1 picks.
Well, that's easy.
Both we've all seen. Hey, fuck off, Derek.
Yeah, we've all seen both of those. Just kidding, Brandon.
Should we move on, or do we want to break that one down?
Yeah, tied at 6.
All right, tied at 6. And then number 5 is with 11 points, we have The Social Network. And that is not a tie. And then this one this will be a great discussion. So then we have a tie for third place, The Tree of Life and Parasite, both with 13 points, both on 2 lists. Although Nick had Tree of Life at number 1 and Parasite
Yeah.
was at best
It goes to Tree of Life.
number
Yeah, go
5,
Tree
I
of Life,
guess.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then,
One-
Parasite.
1-8 beats 4-5, right? Is that what we're saying? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Makes
I think
sense.
so.
Parasite's number 4. The Tree of Life is number 3, and then we don't have any more ties. So number 2 movie is Arrival, and number 1 is Mad Max Fury Road with a clear lead, 28
Clearly.
points.
Brandon has a feel to
Yeah.
be the only one that didn't put Mad Max on.
Was it in your
on your
like
list.
discussion?
Feels great. Yeah, it was my top. It was my number 13.
Oh,
if you want to know, but it's all good.
Here's a fun fact about our top 10. Derek had the most movies on his list from our combined top 10.
Oh, that's interesting.
He had 6. Brandon had 5.
So Derek bridged the gap, and
I
not
had
Shaun, like
4.
you predicted,
Nick
Nick.
had 3.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
On our combined top 10.
Yeah. From our combined top 10, Derek had 6 on his list. Brandon 5, me 4, Nick 3.
No double directors on there. Huh?
Let's see.
Yeah, Leviathan, Loveless,
Were they both on there?
Well, they weren't on the top
top
10.
Oakjaw.
Paris.
on the top 10, sorry.
Yeah.
No, no double directors. There was some close ones, I guess. There's actually, you know what? I kind of lied. Spider-Man. Wait a minute. Why did I say that? Spider-Man is there's a 4-way tie for number 10. With all of our number, what is that? 4 picks?
5. It's my number 5.
Yeah. I guess then Spider-Man would win because it's on 2 lists. So never mind.
Right.
Spider-Man wins.
Cool.
All right,
Sweet.
good.
That's our list.
Well, great. Great decade, guys. So good episode. Thanks for doing this. It was really fun going over reviewing the decade with you guys. Next month we'll get back into the groove of things and do February and March movies. There's a few ones that have come out. February was super slow. I don't know if there has been any movies that we would really have covered this month. But so combining February and March, hopefully we'll have some good ones to talk about to recommend and treat each other. So with that, I think we should sign off and say goodnight. So thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye.